Well, it can't be any worse than the American Ouija, right? Ouija Japan, or Ouija Japan, or however you say it, you know what I mean, is brought to us by director Masao Kato, and stars Ariel Sakaya, Mahiro Chiba, and Yagi Kodaka. Sure, I butchered the shit out of all those names too. So Ouija Japan is an independent film about a young American woman named Karen, played by Ariel Sakaya, who lives in Japan with her Japanese husband. Now Karen doesn't have a lot of friends, and she does struggle with the language, and that's probably the biggest reason. Now she understands it and can speak it, but like I said, she just really struggles with it. Because of this, many of the Japanese women that she interacts with in her area give her a bit of a hard time about it. However, one day she is invited to a weekend retreat with the other area housewives. So she decides to do this to improve relations with the other area women that she interacts with. However, it doesn't quite work out that way. I know, shocker. Because upon arriving at this retreat, the ladies decide one night, hey, let's play with a Ouija board. But not any old Ouija board, but the Japanese version that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce here. So in doing so, they invoke the fox spirit that's kind of like a god. But the fun doesn't stop there, because this fox spirit is really up to date. And not only have they invoked a god, but this god puts them inside of a battle royale game, and not only are they in a game, but their game has an app on their cell phones. So now they're involved in this life or death battle royale where they all have to kill each other and leave just one man standing, or last woman standing. And they can use this god endorsed app that's on their phone to get special perks to get ahead in the fight. That's right, every time you kill somebody in this world, you get special features unlocked in the app that help you in your fight. You can also offer your life to the god, and I guess the way the movie kinda sorta explains it is you like give up like a certain amount of time. They're not 100% sure of how much that time is, but some time off your life to get aid as well. Be that weapons, or like a get out of jail free card, or just something that's gonna help you along. To say that this movie is very Japanese is putting it lightly. Now, as far out there as all that sounds, I'm cool with that. I don't mind a crazy out there premise if they have a good time with it and it's executed well. Problem is here, it's not executed well. This movie is a fucking mess. The basic idea that they have, I'm okay with. I mean, it's nothing really too original, but it could still be fun. But the movie trips up in so many different places that it's really hard to get on board. I could take a few things. It's a low budget movie. I get it. You don't have all the money in the world. If it had lackluster effects, okay, I'm cool with that. If it had lackluster performances, okay, I'm cool with that. If some of the production values were a little bit low, I could deal with that. But when you take all of those things and just combine them together and you have all of them, it's really hard to get on board here. Now, the look of the movie, as far as like a quality perspective, like the way it just looks like in a regular scene, is fine. It's not the most expensive movie ever made, but it's fine. I didn't have a problem with that. But when you throw the special effects in, which there are a fair amount of, that's when things start to get a little sideways. And one of the biggest contributing factors there is their reliance on CGI. There's very little practical work here. The vast majority of their effects, be they blood or gunshots or just really anything at all, is CGI. And when I say CGI, that's really giving it a lot, because these are just kind of like After Effects that you find in Adobe Premiere. And it all stands out. Now, I'm not holding that against the movie. I understand it is a low budget affair, but when you know that you don't have the money to actually make your effects look good, either A, you need to scale those effects back, or B, try a practical method that looks a bit better, because, you know, it's a real thing. When every puff of smoke and muzzle flash and spray of blood and just really anything at all in this movie isn't real, it was created in Adobe Premiere, or After Effects rather, then it really stands out and it just doesn't look good. That and the fact that many of the kills in this movie, which is kind of what the movie is based around, just aren't creative at all. Now, like I said a moment ago, this is an independent, low-budget film, so I could go with that. But when you add in the other stuff, such as the performances, that's when things really start to go downhill. And the performances in this movie are just really bad. Now, at first I thought it was a translation thing, because we do have characters speaking English and Japanese, and maybe some of the English speaking characters didn't really know the words that they were saying, and vice versa with the Japanese characters. And there are moments when you have characters that are speaking obviously their native language that the performances aren't bad. But then there's a lot of other moments when you have characters speaking their native languages that the performances are still fucking bad. That and the ADR. For whatever reason, they decided to go back and dub every bit of the Japanese speaking characters' English lines. Now, it sounds like that those characters, those actors and performers are the ones that are actually speaking the lines, but it really stands out and just doesn't fit, and I don't know why they did that. Did it really sound that bad? We don't expect them to have like 100% pronunciation of these words, as long as we can basically understand it. I'd rather have that, kind of like a broken English that sounded right in the scene, rather than what we got. It stands out like really bad. That's what made me think that these characters didn't actually speak these other languages, because when they're speaking them, it just comes across as really bad. Like they didn't know what words they were actually saying. They were just kind of fed these words. They didn't really know what emotion to interject into these words and these lines. Regardless of the reasoning and the excuses I try and come up with for these performances, the fact of the matter is they are just bad across the board. It does look like they're all trying, and they're trying to do something fresh and original here, but it just fails so bad. And even with all these technical issues they had that really drug it down, I think this could have actually worked if they had leaned into the absurdity a bit more. But the movie really tries to go for a serious tone for the most part, and I think that is definitely to its detriment. If they had just kind of played into like the goofy nature of this entire situation, I think that would have made it more fun. The idea, regardless of its originality or not, has the potential there, but it's just not executed that way. Which is really unfortunate because, like I said, I wanted to like this movie. Guys, at the end of the day, Ouija Japan is just not a good movie. I found it really hard to find anything to latch onto in this film. The idea behind the story is nothing original. The effects look fucking terrible. The performances are just god awful. And the tone of the film was just the wrong way to go altogether. While I could have accepted some of these faults on their own, when you put them all together, it just becomes an extremely hard pill to swallow. And it also makes this movie an absolute, without a doubt, unfortunately, fucking dumpster fire. I really wanted to like this movie, but man, I couldn't even force myself to find something good about it. It's just pretty bad all around. So even if you are a fan of the genre, just take it from me, someone else who's a fan of the genre, just stay away from this thing. It does not deserve any of your time. You will be disappointed. So there it is, guys, my reaming of Ouija Japan. If you enjoyed, want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below. Become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits to go along with that, like these guys. And possibly join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Greg. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Osaka.
I'll fight whatever it is in my way. I always have, and I won't stop now.
Now, I wouldn't really think there would be, but given my time here on the platform and making reviews of movies, I know that there's going to be someone out there that is a fan of this movie. And that's fine. Good for you. I'm happy that you enjoyed it. Me, myself, I didn't like it. That being said, I imagine that if someone is a fan of this movie, they will accuse me of either A, not being a horror fan, or B, not liking Asian cinema, or something like that. In other words, they're gonna say I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And no, believe me, that is not it. I'm a fan of all those things, but something else I'm a fan of is good movies. Whether you like this movie or not, and if you did, I'm happy for you, but the fact of the matter is this is just not a good movie. At least in my opinion, it's not, for whatever the fuck that's worth.